Why do I have to press go live pa? Ang weird. Hindi kasi dapat mag-auto start siya eh. Anyway, yan. Go live na. Go live na ako. So that stream should be working now. Not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming. What? YouTube is not receiving enough. Oh, shit. Wonderful. Okay. You should be hearing music on YouTube right now. Okay. Yeah, may delay talaga yan. But you should be able to hear music anytime soon. It's 2:13 sa Yeah, it starts in 2:09. But iba yata yung nakalagay sa YouTube. I think the preview on YouTube is still saying 2:42. Kasi ang timing natin dito is 1:54 but on YouTube is 2:26. Ang laki ng lag. No, malaki yung lag kasi nag-VPN ako. Because kung naglolo ko PLDT ngayon eh. Okay, wait. I'm just going to get a glass of water. It's supposed to start, but yeah. Give me another few minutes. I'll just get water. Okay, I am back. No, it's still masyadong maano pa rin yung mic ngayon. Yeah, pero yung sa feed sa YouTube, hindi ang pangit ng ang pangit talaga ng labas eh. But anyway, sige. Okay, I am so sorry. It looks like I forgot to mute the output, the audio output. So everything you are talking about has been going to YouTube. Okay, so you should see. Oh, why are you not moving to? Wait, why is that not? Mali yata yung shinare ko. Sandali lang ha. I think I shared the wrong thing. And I cannot share my screen. I can't stream into the channel. I can't share my screen. Okay. Sure. Okay, we're just having some technical troubles, people. So we're just waiting for someone to let me stream back into Discord. Okay, there's stream. Yay! I can stream again. Okay, VLC. Okay. So you should be able to see the screen now. Yes. Wait, medyo naglolo ko yung VLC ko. Yeah, naglolo ko siya. I don't know why. Wait. Capture device. Yeah, you should be playing that. And it is not showing, I don't know why, but it's the camera is not showing it's not showing what it's supposed to show right now on the video. Wait. Harg. That's not good. You don't see you don't see the slide right now, right? Do you see this? Nope, you don't see the slide because that's not this. Oh, bumabagal bumabagal yung virtual screen ko. But anyways, yeah. Okay, let us begin then. Let us start. Yeah. Yeah, go ahead. Wait. Yeah, let me just switch to something first, okay? Wait. Because nagloko talaga yung dito. I'm going to do something else. Okay, wait. Window capture for desktop. Wait. Ayaw niya mag-desktop. Well, okay, sige. I'm going to have to do something else. But, okay, so we are having problems with the stream right now. Just give me... Naayos na kita kahapon eh. Just give me a few minutes lang. Okay, I'm going to have to switch to ano na lang. What is happening? Can you guys still hear me? Nope, you can't hear me anymore. Okay, wait. Yeah, that is not good. Okay, I'm back. I'm sorry. I had to delete something else instead kasi naglolo ko na lahat. Anyway, sige. You should see Women Who Code now. Finally. Okay, wait. Let me just change windows now. Okay, and I hope you see this. I hope you see this. Whoa, no, that is not the one. No, that's not the one. That's not the one. That's the wrong screen. Wrong screen. Okay, wait. Mabagal ang screen sharing ko ngayon. Okay. So, okay. All right. So, here we go. Welcome to the art of technical writing. So, this is going to be a short guide, a really, really short guide, really, on how to, well, how to write, how to do technical writing. But before we continue, I just want to show you something. While Mitch has introduced me earlier, let me reintroduce myself. So, who am I? I am a technology trainer and a consultant who specializes in enterprise systems development and architecture. I'm currently spending my pandemic days retooling on AWS and business intelligence while mentoring both startups and individuals. So actually, I've partnered with someone with another group recently, and I am helping out, or I'm actually doing mentorship for an AI company, for an AI startup, who is also still looking for other AI people. But anyway, so I'm not supposed to say anything else here about that. But if you want to know more about that, just ask me about it. Okay, and then my past work involves systems development using Java, Go, Python. As mentioned earlier, I've been doing fan fiction. I delve into the real Ghostbusters cartoon fan fiction. Gasp, Java, yes! And my skills in writing, I'm using this constantly for documenting software and creating training courseware. But you might be wondering, no? So, while technical writing is interesting, which is the reason why all of you are here, you may be at the same time saying, okay, maybe because I'm not into technical writing. I don't do technical writing anyway. So why would you still need to learn technical writing? You do not need to be a documentations expert or a technical writer to do technical writing. In fact, the moment you graduate from college, you actually used skills in technical writing. What do I mean by that? Where can you use technical writing? First and foremost, technical reporting. So when you say technical reporting, you're talking about, how do you say this? For technical reporting, you're talking about progress reports, feasibility studies, proposals, manuals. In fact, if you were doing your thesis proposal, that was actually technical reporting. All right? Next, you have business communications. Your resume is a technical document because it mentions everything about you. Okay? So business communications would be resumes, transmittal letters, or what we call as cover letters. Writing a report for someone who has just stolen your bike. So yeah, this is business communications, and you have to know technical writing to be able to communicate what happened to someone, to other people. Scientific writing. This one, some of you will do this, some of you won't. Okay, this is if you're writing a book. If you're writing for a scientific journal or a technical journal, if you're writing to, let's say, IEEE, if you are going to publish your work. Okay, so this is where scientific writing comes in. This is experimental research. All right. And then finally, you have electronic media, wherein electronic media is just simply, email, blogs, and so forth. Okay? So you do not have to be a technical writer or a documentations expert to be able to need to know how to do technical writing. Okay? So let's continue. What is it about technical writing that makes it technical writing? When you're doing technical writing, there's always two things. It's precision and intent. Right? So technical writing is always about precision and it's always about intent. Precision meaning you have to be accurate in how you're telling or how you're conveying information to other people. And intent, the intent here is it's not supposed to elicit emotion. Okay? Hindi kayo nagpapakaawa pag nagsusulat kayo. It's not supposed to be like that. It's supposed to be, you're supposed to say something in a very non-personal and a very non-threatening manner. So let's say, for example, if you're trying to, let's go back to someone stole your bike. Okay. The writing here is you're not supposed to say, I feel so bad that someone stole my bike and so forth. No, you have to be very formal about it when you're doing that report. At 9 p.m. on let's say on July 12, 2020 at around 9:50 p.m. at this particular residence, you can't even say my bike. You have to say something like a certain bike, do whatever technical thing whatever technical description you have about the bike. Okay, owned by let's say owned by Chi Sinieres. Was stolen at this point in time and so far. Sinieres, I'm so sorry. So yeah, so it has to be very formal. It has to be, yeah, it's very formal and it's very accurate. You can't say sometime in the evening. No, you really have to say what time. Okay, around approximately what time did this event happen. Okay, so again, technical writing is about precision and it's about intent. Okay, so let's have a small exercise here that I would like to, so that we would know if you have a good idea right now whether something is technical or non-technical or both. Okay? So for example, an email to a friend about your new computer. Is this supposed to be technical or non-technical? Okay, you can also voice out if you want. Sabi ni Mars, depende sa friend. Depende sa friend. Which, actually, yes, it can be both. Pwede siya maging non-technical. Pwede, but if your friend is, really into computers and all that, then you have to be quite technical about it. Kumbaga, your friend is if your friend is the kind of person who says, no, do not tell me about how good it is. Tell me what the specs are. Tell me how much RAM it has. Tell me what the GPU specs are, and so forth. If si Mars is friend mo, yes, okay. So an email to a friend about your new computer can become non-technical or can become really technical, depending on the friend. How about this? A complaint letter to the manufacturer of a robot vacuum cleaner. Is that technical, non-technical, or both? So Chi says it's technical. Anyone else? Technical, sabi ni Estella. Anyone else? Okay. So Ressa says technical. Yes, Jem is technical. Karen says technical. Tin. I'm sorry. It says it's technical. So yes, because this is a complaint letter to the manufacturer, it has to be technical. You do not put in your emotions into it. Okay? You do not say, I hate your robot vacuum cleaner because it's not sucking as well as you say it's going to be. That is very vague. You have to be there has to be accuracy into it. Why are you writing the letter? Why are you unsatisfied about it? What didn't work? What happened? So you really need to go into the details, into the technical details of what went wrong with the vacuum cleaner that you just bought. Next, a written request to your work supervisor for a salary increase. Is this technical, non-technical, or both? Ressa says it's technical. Chi says technical. Karen says technical. Yes, Jem says technical. Oh, actually, Chi says technical unless close kayo ni supervisor. Amera says technical. Oh, joke lang. Okay, sorry. So, Chamichanga says technical. Okay, so the answer here is this is also technical writing. Okay? Even though that was a joke, it still holds really, because I have unfortunately seen a lot of people who have a lot of my colleagues used to give me a letter wherein they're asking me to just edit to see how they're going to be writing this kind of letter to our boss, and a lot of it I had to really correct because most of it is really emotional. Like one time someone said, we're having so much problems right now we're having so much problems right now at home. I need a raise right now because of that. But that is not how you create a request for salary increase. Yeah, like Ange said, it needs proof that you deserve the increase. Okay, whatever happens, even though your company says you are all considered family, it is still a business, and as a business, everything has to be quite formalized. So if you ask for a salary increase, you need to give proof of why you deserve that increase. Proof meaning you need actual data of what you've done. Again, going back, accuracy, precision. You need precision and you need intent. Okay? So, let's go into the basic rules of technical writing. First of all, in writing, you have to give it structure. Okay? You just don't write. You need to plan what you're supposed to write about. In the case of, let's say, for example, if your boss suddenly says, hey, I need you to create a user manual, or I need you to create a document on how to use our API. Sooner or later, you'll go through that. So you need to give it some structure. And if you take a look at the slide right now, it says there that you have an outline wherein the first part of the outline gives you a very high level detail about the topic that you're trying to talk about. If there is a subsection after that, 1.1, then you just give it a little more detail. And if there's another subsection after that, that will usually contain the most detail. Normally, what we do is we have until 3 levels of detail. 4 is a stretch. 5, hindi kami umaabot ng 5. Alright? In creating the structure of your document, there are 2 things that you have to remember. You have external balance and you have internal balance. If you have this kind of if you have this kind of idea already on how your sections are going to look like, you have to be very consistent with this structure. Okay? Hindi pwedeng you're already at you're on high level detail and then all of a sudden you have another high level detail as 1.1. No, it's not supposed to be like that. You have to follow the overall structure that you have in mind. And then you have internal balance, which is the actual content. So say for example, in your subsection 1.1.1, if normally you have 2 to 3 paragraphs per that section, then for the rest of your document, it will always have to be like that, around 2 to 3. Okay? You can't have something like under that for one particular portion. You have 1.1.1 and it has 5. It has 4 or 2 paragraphs, and then all of a sudden on the next subsection 1.1.2 suddenly you have 5 or 10 paragraphs. No, it's not supposed to be like that. So this is the difficulty of technical writing. It is having to make sure that your whole document is balanced. Okay, so you have external balance, which is pretty much like your facade, your skeleton, and then your internal balance, which is pretty much the content itself. So if you have any questions, just feel free to post them on the mini events chat group. So I guess there's no question for now sa structure. Now, positioning your writing. Okay, in positioning your writing, first one is you need to know who your audience is. Okay? When you're writing a user manual, you have to know, okay, or rather, when you're writing a user manual, you have to know what is the level of your users. Are they technical? Are they non-technical? Okay. What kind of people are they? So know your audience. For most documents that you create, you immediately know who you're going to be dealing with. But there are times wherein you don't know who's going to read it, or more or less you know who are going to read it, and it's a very varied audience. So for example, you might create an incident report, and the incident report is going to be read by customers, vendors, your office management, and government agencies. All right? So you have customers, government agencies, vendors, and management who will be reading the report. Which of those 4 will have the most formal tone? Again, you have customers, you have government agencies, you have vendors, and you have management who will be reading your document. Which of those 4 will have to be the most formal? Alright. So, it's government. Okay? So, even though it's going to be read by customers or vendors and management, because there's a much higher level, which is the government agency, you will have to write according to that level. Okay? So, when you have a document that will have mixed readership, you will have to take on the most formal tone that can be adopted. So in this case, it's going to be government agencies. Next, know your perspective. Everyone is familiar with first person, second person, third person, right? So I is first person, I, me, first person. Second person will be you. And third person would be him, her, they, and so forth, right? For first person point of view, the I, you should use that if you're writing writing a technical business communication. So one good example here would be asking for a raise. So you use first person point of view. Okay? For second person point of view, which is much used less often, normally you use this when you're teaching someone. So it's a procedures manual or a user guide. You use you. You don't say we, you don't say I. You use the second person point of view, which is you. Okay? And then you have your third person point of view, which is from the perspective of the author as an observer. A good example of this is, this, your biopic. Okay, your biopic or your what we usually call as your profile. This is a good example of using third person point of view. Okay. Notice that even though I am introducing myself, I am looking at this from the point of view of the audience. Okay? How does the audience see me? So I am introducing myself as in the third person. Okay? So she is, her. Okay? There's never an I. There's never a first person point of view here. So it's all third person. Okay? Whoops. So you need to know from what perspective you are writing for. And then finally, you have choosing the right words. Okay? Now, choosing the right words, this is a bit more in depth. So we're just going to take a look at this right now. This is more about the what we discussed earlier. So who are they? Adjust your writing according to who will be reading your submission. For multiple audiences, most formal tone. For pronouns, first person, again, for technical business communication. Second person for the how-to articles. And third person is used for reports. Okay. Or your autobiography, your biopic. Now, next, choosing the right words. How do you choose the words? Okay. So you have to be concise. You have to be precise. You have to be careful when using all, none, and its equivalents, and always write in the positive form. Okay. So what do you mean by being concise? Okay. Conciseness is not an easy thing to achieve when you're writing. Okay. Normally, what you would want to do is you don't want to be long-winded when you are when you're writing. Okay. What you would usually want is to be as short as possible, but still not lose what you're trying to say. Okay? So that's basically what conciseness is. Okay? Be as short as possible while not losing the thought in the process. Normally, it would be easier to do this if you have something like a graphic, an infographic. Infographics tend to be short and sweet. When you look at an infographic, you immediately get an idea on what's happened or what's happening. But again, like I said, being concise is not an easy thing to do. Even creating an infographic is not an easy thing to do. Okay? It's much easier to be precise. Okay? When you're trying to be precise, that simply means that you have to have some sort of measurement. You have to have some sort of absolute. There's a sense of absoluteness to what you're writing. Let's say one example is, my test failed miserably. Okay? That's not very precise. Okay? You have to mention, why did the test fail? What makes the failing of that test what do you call this? Oh my god, I forgot the word. But okay. So you have to mention, bakit grabe? Why was the test failure very grave, for example? Why was it grave? Why was it why would you call it okay, I can't remember the word at the top of my head right now. But you have to, it's very much like when you're trying to explain the nature of what happened to a bug ticket. Okay, it has to be very precise. How did you get to the bug? How did the bug happen? How did you encounter it? So again, the preciseness should be there. Right? Be careful when using all, none, and its equivalents. Okay? Hindi mo pwedeng sabihin, all users shall be able to access the database. Or let me rephrase that. All users except new users shall be able to access the database. You should not do that. Number one, because it causes imprecision. And number two, it causes confusion. Okay? So instead of saying all users except new users shall be able to access the database, you should instead say something like, no new users shall be able to access the database. So there's that. And then you have to still consider as well, how do you define a new user? When can a new user actually be able, or when can a user actually be able to access the database? So I could even continue to modify that sentence as no users that are a month old in the company may access the database, or no probationary employees may access the database. And that is a much more precise way of mentioning who can access something. Okay? And then always write in the positive form, never in the negative form. So one example is, yun nga, the one we said earlier. No new users shall be able to access the database. Okay. I could again modify that to only regularized employees may access the database. So this is in the positive form pa rin. Okay? Or another example would be, the system shall not harm humans, which is kind of negative. The more straightforward way of mentioning that is, the system shall do humans no harm. Okay, so it is a bit more positive naman. Wondering lang what's wrong with negative tones. Remember that one thing I forgot to mention, when you're writing a technical document, you're trying to make the person see your point of view. Okay? You're trying to make the person see your point of view. You're actually giving, again, you're giving a particular opinion. Okay? You're giving a particular opinion in the hopes that the reader will believe you. Okay? And it's much easier psychologically. It's much easier to let them know, let them understand things in a positive manner than in a negative manner. Which is the reason why we said that we try not to use negatives in technical writing. Okay. There are, of course, exceptions. Again, there are exceptions. But for the most part, it should be positive. A really nice example of this, okay, is anyone here taking up law? No one? No one's taking up law? Okay, no one's taking up law. Because the lawyers are really good with this. Okay? The lawyers are really good in trying to make sure that the impact of what they're saying is as positive as possible, because they're trying to convince people that you are supposed to be the correct one, that your client is the one that's correct and not the other side. Okay? So always write in the positive form. So let's have an exercise. Okay? I want you all to try, let's do this for about 5 minutes. I want you all to try to create a bio sketch about yourself, a short description of who you are. So you're making your own profile. Imagine that you're going to be submitting this later on for a talk with Women Who Code in the future. Okay? Now, the tip here is your bio sketches typically contain name, position, description of work, and whatever titles you have. So, of course, like what you saw earlier, I mentioned my name first, what I do, my formal position, which is a trainer and I'm a trainer and I'm a consultant. A description of what you do, a very short description of what you do, and if you have any titles, like if you're a master's holder, or if you have any certification that you have passed recently, then you mention that as well. Okay? So let's have that for around 5 minutes. You can turn on your mics if you want, if you have any questions, okay? And then you can post them on the chat group. Yeah, sure, go ahead. But remember, it's 50 words or less. Yon. That's the ano. Yeah, that is the ano of it, no? That is the challenge. Ano ba yung sa akin? 50 words nga ba yung sa akin? One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So, sabihin natin 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 60 words. Hindi lalampas ng 60 words yung nasa akin. I could actually still edit this if I wanted to. Yun, nag-word counter na si Karen. Nag-word counter na si Karen. Yeah, meron. But normally, ito folks ha, normally, for a bio profile, the normal is 100 words. I'm just making it harder for you right now, so 15 lang muna tayo. But it's normal for it to be 100. What? May spaces ba yan? May spaces ba? Oh, it's considered several words na. Tanggalin mo yung spaces kung gusto mo isang buong ano. Gawin mong hashtag para one word. Which is true actually. Buti nga sinabi ko 50 words eh. Yung iba sa kanila characters. Oh. Kriza has been typing for so long. Nag-on the... Are you editing right on the ano? Right on Discord? Sa Discord na nag-edit eh, no? Okay. One thing you would want to, if you're having trouble with creating a bio, with your bio sketch, one thing you might want to consider is who is it for? Okay. So you might have to edit it just a bit more. If, for example, it's for women who code it. So if these people already know who I am, I don't need to put this, okay, in my biopic. Like for example, the reason why I wanted to show my bio profile again, which if you notice is totally different from the one I sent to the one I sent to Mitch, to Michi, okay? Because with Michi, it's like there is a sense of humor to it because of the various of the zoo that I have right now, okay? But it's only because my target there was that I want people to know that this might turn out to be a very fun this might turn out to be a very fun event, okay? Because the speaker sounds fun, the speaker reads as fun, then maybe the whole thing will become fun. And then you suddenly see the one here, which is a bit more formal. Not just a bit more formal, but it is quite formal. So you have to know, again, like earlier, who is it going to be for? What do you want to convey? You don't have to put everything in it, just the ones that matter. Rather, just the ones that matter at that point in time. Anong question? Mm-hmm. No. Wala siyang template. It just, like what you see right there right now, the tip there, it's what it usually contains, and then everything else is really nasa ano na yon, nasa person na yon. There is no real template on how to create it. This is not like a template for a resume, wherein you immediately know, because everyone has a resume. But normally, these bio sketches are dependent on who are you going to submit this to. Obviously, the sketch that the bio sketch I gave you for the meetup announcement is something that I could not give to, let's say, a global conference. Okay, so you have to adjust accordingly. Pretty much like your resume. Your resume doesn't need to put, you don't need to put everything in your resume when you're applying for a job. Actually, your resume should always change depending on who you are, depending on what you are applying for. It's not one resume fits everything. No, unfortunately, it's not like that. You have to always edit it every time you're about to send something to send an application to a prospective employer. Simply because each prospective employer is looking for something different. It's not, it's not the same. So there are chances wherein magtatanggal ako ng isang section or something I did for work before. I will remove it because it is not relevant. It will not be relevant to the position that I am applying for. That's okay. Okay lang na magtanggal ka ng work experience, wag ka lang magdagdag ng something that never really happened. Yun lang naman yun eh. Baka bigla naglagay ka na, oy, may nakita kaming ganon. The person actually added something that does not exist, that he never really did. Okay? So, yeah, you could remove stuff from resumes depending on who you are sending it to. It is not one fits all. Okay, Chi. Chi is a lead product designer at Signal TV. She is also the marketing lead at UXPH and a Figma community advocate. She also started the Discord server called Tambayan 404 with her friends, which is the biggest Filipino non-tech community made up of tech people. Okay. Tambayan 404 is not a tech community. Which is true. It is not a tech community. Yeah, exactly. That's why it's a non-tech community. Non-tech community. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so Chi, this is good. This is very good. Okay, so Kriza Bulyaser is a freelance software engineer and cloud consultant. She works with startups and helps them quickly launch their ideas by setting up infrastructure and development pipelines on the cloud. She is AWS certified and is looking forward to get certified in other cloud with other cloud providers. Not in, with. So there's just a slight change in ano. Instead of in, you use with. Yan. Okay? To get certified with other cloud providers. Okay. So that's good too. Amera Ibrahim is a computer science graduate. Specializing, not specialized. Specializing in software engineering. Okay, so specializing in software engineering. She is working towards transitioning to medyo maano yung wording nito. She is working towards transitioning to UX field. There's a better way of writing that down, but I'll do that later. Her goal is to create intuitive digital experiences for people to use with ease. She is currently looking for internship opportunities. Yeah, yun nga eh. Amera Ibrahim has a computer science degree in software engineering. You don't have to, when you say technical, okay, something you all have to remember, the simplest way of describing yourself is exactly what makes technical writing technical. Okay? You don't need to be long-winded about it. It feels informal when you're trying to introduce yourself as, I hold a degree in computer science. Okay? But that's actually the simplest way to put it. Okay? I hold a degree in computer science. I specialize in software engineering, but notice that I'm using I right now, but you could easily put this into third person. Something like I hold a degree in computer science, specializing in software engineering, but I am working towards shifting to not UX field. Chi, how would you further describe that? Imbes na yun, to design. or to UX design. Okay? Or but currently wants to shift to UX work. Yeah. So, yon, pwede mong gawin yon. So yeah, Amira Ibrahim is a graduate of computer science, specializing in software engineering. But she is that yeah, un, unless so again, this is more on talaga is it needed? Yun pa rin yan eh. Actually, for me, I would rather, for the first sentence, know, I would rather know, what are you working as now? I don't need to know that you were a graduate. It's better to say, what are you working as now? Because that way, I could also say, I'm working towards transitioning to UX field. Kasi ito, yung first sentence is medyo vague pa eh. So, that would be a much better way of introduce, again, like I said, your name and your position. Okay? Introduce who you are. What are you doing right now? What are you working as right now? Okay? And then, yun yung dun eh. Pero dito, hindi pa masyadong lumalabas unless bagong graduate ka. Ayun. If you're a new graduate wanting to break into the UX industry, then it's enough to say, Amira Ibrahim is a recent graduate with a degree in computer science. She is working towards entering the UX industry. Then her goal is to create blah 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 blah. Okay, so it's a much smoother way of reading it now. Karen is the orchestrator of the company-wide technology strategy. She makes sure that iExport can rapidly, reliably deliver customer discovery-driven products to market. Karen is one of the leads at Women Who Code Manila. She is also a graduate of Google Women Developer Academy, Singapore. She considers herself a lifelong learning technologist and a plantita. My only edit here would be, unahin mo muna si 1X, na introduce mo muna na taga 1Export ka. Yun yung ko doon, Karen. Unahin mo muna si 1Export before you say you're the orchestrator of the company-wide technology strategy. So, something like, she is the orchestrator of the 1Export, or I don't know how you have. Kasi, basta ibaliktad mo yon. Unahin mong ma-mention si 1Export. Okay? And that's just it. Mention that you work for 1Export first, then specify that you are the orchestrator of the company-wide technology, and you make sure that the company can rapidly, reliably deliver customer discovery-driven products to market. In fact, those two sentences can further be edited to make it shorter. Okay. Yun yung doon. Everything else is good. Reza Magbanwa is a software engineer for a startup exporting company. This is 1Export? Kasama mo si Reza, no? Ayun. This is actually good. She helps to improve business operations with an S by developing and iterating the company tech product. And that's good. That's it. That's short. That's sweet. Okay? So, I don't even know who the company is. I just know that you work for a startup exporting company. Okay. I can mention where I work. I could mention that depends on you on how important it is to mention your company. That depends on you. Okay? For Karen, it's important for her to mention the company. But if that's the case, kailangan mauna yung pag-mention ng name ng company. Kasi yung first sentence ko pa lang, hindi ko naintindihan, company-wide technology of what? Okay, and malaman ko lang after. So, dapat na unang masabi yung, na-mention yung name. For Reza, biglang inedit ni Reza. For Reza, it's up to her if she wants to mention it or not. Nalang in-mention ka agad eh. Talaga sinasabi, uy, baka makita ni Karen. Teka, sandali lang. Okay. So, Angelica. Angelica La Pastora is a backend software engineer at QuadX. She specializes in creating backend services with Python, Django, and AWS Lambda. She is also a director of marketing at Python PH and a Python lead at Women Who Code Manila. This is perfect. Tama lang yan. Halata nga na director of marketing ka. Nasa? So, no, you don't. No, you don't. You don't do that. You don't do that. Yeah. Because remember, it's coming from the point of view of someone trying to introduce you. Okay. So, okay na yung start with your name. Jenny Rose is currently working as project assistant 2 with the Department of Science and Technology. So may the pa yan. With the Department of Science and Technology. Medyo long-winded itong first sentence mo. You can split it up. So, you could say, is currently working as project assistant. You can, project assistant 2 with the Department of Science and Technology. She has experience in education, finance matters, technology, and implementing Philippine government projects. She is highly experienced with administrative tasks complying with ISO 9001 standards dedicated to quality management systems. Right now, Jenny, as is, this reads more like an entry for your resume rather than a bio profile. Yun lang yung masasabi ko dito. Okay? So, split it up, make it easier to read. Because remember, if someone tries to take this and introduces you online, vocally, this is going to be hard to read. Okay? Shanna Lay is a recent computer science graduate seeking to advance a career in software development with a passion for combining tech and design to create innovative work. She's currently working as a full-stack developer at Beauty Manila, working on improving the storefront to enhance customer experience. See, ang ganda ng flow when I try to read it out loud. So this is actually a very good bio profile as well. All right, so let us continue. Okay, now we go to the point wherein what are the things that you should not be doing in technical writing. Okay. Number 1, the cliche. Okay, you have cliche, anthropomorphic writing, metapropisms, erroneous heterographs, opinion versus fact, acronyms, domain-specific terms, jargon, and the laziness of very. Alright. Clichés, just don't do it. Yun lang. Yun lang masasabi ko. Do not do clichés at all. Okay? Wala, if you're trying to say the word sacrifice, don't say bite the bullet. Instead of saying in this day and age, say today or now. Okay? Do not use clichés because it's a lazy way of writing. It's a very lazy way of writing. Anthropomorphic writing. Do not humanize anything that isn't human. Like the tests failed miserably. No, you do not say something like that. Instead, you say something like the system failed catastrophically. Yun, that's the word. Okay? The system failed catastrophically. And then why did it fail catastrophically? Remember that when you're in the tech industry, there are levels of failure, right? So, catastrophic failure is, obviously the level that you don't want to get to. So, yun yung dito. No? Do not give emotions, do not give human emotions to inanimate objects or even to animals. Alright? That's not part of technical writing. It's great for creative writing, but not for technical writing. Malapropisms. Words that sound similar to an intended word but is logically wrong. Okay, so what are malapropisms? A good example of a malapropism is... What's a good example of malapropism? A good example of malapropism is... wait, do I have an example here? Yes, there's an exercise here. Alright, so as I said earlier, malapropisms, words that sound similar to an intended word but is logically wrong. It sounds similar, it sounds the same, but, their meanings are different. So, let's have a short exercise here. A contingency of technicians is needed for repairs. Does that sound correct? This is where you try to pull out your dictionary now. Okay. So what makes this sentence wrong? A contingency of technicians is needed for repairs. What is contingency ba? Contingency. A future event or circumstance which is possible but cannot be predicted with certainty. Okay? A future event of technicians. Okay? Incidents yung contingency. Yes, that is correct. So what should be the intended word for this instead of contingency? What do you think? Pwedeng a group of of technicians if you want it to be, But remember, we're trying to figure out malapropisms. Okay? What was the word that the person was actually trying to use instead of this? So, instead of contingency, the intended word is contingent. C-O-N-T-I-N-G-E-N-T. Okay? A contingent of technicians. So, you can check that again. What does contingent mean? Which is pretty much close to the word group, as mentioned earlier. Okay? So, instead of contingency, it should have been contingent. Okay? What about this? Due to poor sales, the launch of product alpha floundered. So, it's not supposed to be floundered because, well, flounder is, ano ba yung flounder? Well, floundered, not flounder. Flounder can be a noun, which is actually a type of fish. Okay? So, instead of floundered, it should be foundered. Okay? So, foundered, which is Foundered. So, that was the word that the person was looking for, not floundered. And then, this one's easy. The software should be designed in an object-oriented manner. What should be the actual word? Oriented. It should be object-oriented, not object-orientated. Okay? So, it should be object-oriented. So, this is what we mean by malapropisms. How do you avoid malapropisms? Always have a dictionary with you. Okay? If you're not sure of the word, look it up kaagad. Erroneous heterographs. Words that sound similar usually have different meanings. So, for example, dito. Okay? Chi, don't say anything because I think you already know this. Ah! Tinanggal ka agad. So, I would advise that the hard disk drive be replaced every 2 to 3 years to avoid late data loss. Is this correct? Okay. Is the use of advice correct? Okay, tama si Kim. Advise with an S, not with a C. Okay? The word here, advice, A-D-V-I-C-E. Okay? The word here is a noun. You're giving a piece of advice. But here, you are giving suggestions. So, you advise, A-D-V-I-S-E. Okay? So there's so the way to figure it out is if you're suggesting something, you advise with an S. Okay? If you're otherwise, you are giving advice with a C. Okay? The disk should be held stationary. So the word is supposed to be stationary. Paano mo malalaman or how would you know whether to use stationary or stationary? Whether with an E or an A. For stationary, anyone? How could you differentiate stationary from stationary? All right. No, stationary, the tin, that is not for writing materials. That is standing still. Okay. How would you know which is, ayun, stationary, tama. So, how would you know? Again, look at the spelling. If you're trying to write a letter, stationary with an E. So, letter, E. Stationary, E. Okay. Stationary, stand, A. So that's how you that's how you figure it out. Okay. Stationary with an E because you're trying to send a letter. I write letters on my stationery. I stand still to be stationary. So A and E. Yun yung doon. The board would like to compliment you on a job well done. Compliment. Tama si Criza at saka si Tinet. Compliment. P-L-I. So, with an I, not with an E. What's the difference between compliment with an I and compliment with an E? Go well with is what we have with the complement. Okay, so go well is with complement, and then with an I. Compliment is to give good feedback, okay, with an I. Complement refers to something that completes something else, and that is with an E. So that's an I. Okay. So again, the way to be able to figure out if you are using the correct word for it is to look up, is to use a dictionary. Opinion versus fact. Not all facts can be used. Alright? This is something that you should remember. Not all facts can be used. Sometimes the facts can be misleading. You have to vet your sources on this one. If you have to use a fact, like for example, and this happens very much in medicine and in health, that someone says that, oh, there was a study about the use of ginger for this and this and this, and it's really, really good. But the thing is, it turns out that the study is still a very, very small subset and has not yet been vetted anywhere else. Okay? It is a fact because there was an experiment about it, but it is not a very conclusive experiment yet. So, you need to vet your sources first before you specify a fact. On the other hand, should you include an opinion? Yes, you can include opinions in your technical writing for as long as the opinions are highly informed. Meaning, you have a foundation on what you have a very strong foundation on why you have that kind of opinion. Alright? Again, the important thing here, whether you're using an opinion or a fact, is, yes, exactly, fact supporting the opinion, if you're going to add an opinion. Again, vet your sources. Not all facts can be used because they can sometimes be misleading. And then your opinions have to be supported. They have to be highly informed, and again, the only way to do that is for you to make sure that your sources check out. Acronyms, domain-specific terms, and jargon. A lot of people forget this. Like, if I talk about IEEE here, most of you might not know what IEEE is. If you take a look at the dictionary, it will not come up what IEE is or IEEE is. So, define everything that is not found in a standard dictionary. Spell out the acronyms once and only once before using them. So, if you have like a 15-page document that keeps on saying DOH, on the very first page, you should mention what DOH is, Department of Health. Alright? A glossary is also very helpful. Okay, it's usually at the end of the document that shows all the terms and what they mean and so forth. And finally, you have the laziness of very. Okay. The use of very can lead to imprecise writing. So as much as possible, So the laziness of very. As much as possible, you do not use the word very. Right? So let's say, for example, very clear. It is very clear. No, you do not say very clear. Instead, you say something like transparent. It is transparent. Very loud. Instead, you can say deafening. Very old. Ancient or vintage, depending on how old that really is. Because when you say very old, how old are you talking about? Is it vintage? Is it ancient? Okay. Is it, what's the other word? Tatlo yun eh. There's vintage, there's ancient, and there's, I can't remember. Something older than vintage, but not as old as ancient. Okay. Like anything 20 years older, like anything that's around 25 years old is considered vintage. Okay. Another thing about, and this one was something I watched in a movie back in the late 1980s. I think everyone here has heard of Robin Williams' Dead Poets Society. And he plays John Keating, a teacher in that movie. So one of the quotes that I have there from him was, avoid using the word very because it's lazy. A man is not very tired, he is exhausted. Do not use very sad, use morose. Language was invented for one reason, to woo women, and in that endeavor, laziness will not do. Okay? So, do not use very weak, instead say feeble. Do not use very simple, instead use basic. Do not use very small, use tiny. Alright? Or minuscule, or whichever. Okay? Something, a word that could actually be more precise in describing something. Other vague qualifiers should also be avoided, like almost, extremely, rarely, really, massively. So, it is extremely important. How extremely is extremely? Or you can't even say it is very important. How important is very important? You have to be more specific. You have to be more precise. So instead of saying it's really big, you say humongous or large. Okay? If it's not humongous, then say large. Make it interesting. You can, depending on who you're talking to, you can add a little bit of humor. Like say what I put in for my bio profile in Meetup, in the Meetup announcement, that I tried to keep it as light as possible, put in a little bit of humor. Okay? But do not put humor in something that really needs to be clear and precise. Like, for example, a bug report. Please do not put jokes in a bug report. Please do not try to add humor to a bug report. That's the last thing you want to do. Do not do a roque, please. Do not do the faux pas of trying to say a joke while you are discussing what's happening in the pandemic. Okay? That is not how you do things. That is not how you're supposed to use humor. Allegory. Use it only if you need help getting a point across. Okay? Like, if you're trying to explain, this is something that I usually do when I teach, especially to newbies, to new developers or people who are just shifting into tech. I usually use a story which turns out to be, I usually use a story which more or less explains the technical jargon that I'm trying to tell them in a much easier way to digest. Okay. I remember someone sent a resume to us using their Facebook display picture, which was a full body comedy photo. Yeah, again, do not do that for your resume. When you're trying to apply for a job, please do not use humor for that. Okay. Now, we go to the 5 C's of writing. It has to be correct, it has to be clear, it has to be complete, and it has to be consistent, and it has to be changeable. Correctness. Your writing should be grammatically and technically correct. Okay? You have to always check for it. No? One thing that we usually do, and I usually do this as well, even with especially with my creative writing, even when it's just fan fiction, I have someone to read and edit my work, just to see if they understand what I'm trying to say. It's nice if you have someone who could, be a second pair of eyes on what you're trying to do, and what you're trying to write. Be very, I'm very obsessive on making sure that everything that I write down is grammatically correct and technically correct, with no chance of people misunderstanding it. Clarity. Every sentence, related group of sentences, or related sections of the document can only have one interpretation. Okay? Again, you have to leave no room for people to decide that what you're saying means something else. Completeness. You should have no missing relevant or important information. Okay. Consistency. Okay. You should not have something that will eventually contradict another. Like, if you create a document right now, it should not contradict any other information from other documents that were created before it. There's internal consistency and there's external consistency. So what I was saying is internal consistency. Internal consistency means that if you have one document split up into 5 sections, and you say one thing in one section, and then suddenly cancel it on the next section, your document is not consistent. External consistency means document in question should be in agreement with all the other documents that this might affect. All right? Changeability. It should be possible to make changes to your document whenever necessary without causing problems. Normally, this is great. You would understand this a lot when you're trying to do versions of your document. Like, I forgot to add something else. Let me try to add that now. Okay, so that's changeability. Or in the course of several months, something new, a new feature has been added, or a new step has been added. It should be easy for you to change that document. Right? A lot of this has to do with version control as well. So, we finally come to the last section, which is the writing process. There are usually 5 ways to do this. So, rather 5 steps in the process. One is to brainstorm. Brainstorming is actually planning. So, you take in whatever we've discussed earlier. Start planning first. What do you want to say? How are you going to say it? Or rather, what do you want to say? What style am I going to say it? And so forth. Then you have the drafting, actually putting in the content of your document. In my case, I usually, when I'm creating user manuals, it usually takes me around 5 drafts. Okay. I usually end up making 5 drafts because the drafting, revising, and editing, they go, that one goes in a circle. Okay, I draft, I revise, I edit, I have someone check it out, and then I revise it again, and then I edit, I have someone check it out, and so forth. So I usually go through like 2 drafts, 3 drafts, and several revisions before finally deciding that it's good enough. I don't want to change anything anymore. If there are any changes, it will be very, very minor. I am ready to publish. I'm ready, and by publishing, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're sending it over to a journal or something. Publishing simply means that, okay, I'm now sending my resume. I'm happy with my resume. I'm sending it now to the hiring manager. I'm happy with my letter for a raise. I am sending it now to my supervisor, and so forth. So publishing is simply finally showing your document to someone. Right? Questions? Any questions? None? So this is our last exercise. This is our last exercise, and the basic goal of this exercise is for you to create a transmittal letter. Okay, everyone sooner or later creates a transmittal letter, especially when you're applying for a job. When you apply for a job, usually you attach your resume to the email. But in most cases that I've seen, especially for new grads, the new grads just have a subject and then the attachment, and then there's nothing else there. You need a transmittal letter. This is your cover letter. This is the actual email. Okay? So the basic goal of a transmittal letter is to briefly and concisely state your purpose for writing to someone. So what I would like you to do is, for the next 10 minutes, create a transmittal letter for your resume that you're about to send to a potential employer. One thing to note, your transmittal letter will probably just be, I don't know, 8-9 sentences. Usually hindi kailangan lumampas ng 10 sentences yan. You already have most of it on your resume. Now you're introducing yourself to the employer. This is your introduction. Just ask for any questions. Just ask your questions if you have any regarding to tips on creating the transmittal letter. Huh? Do you need an example of what the of a transmittal letter? Would that help? Okay. So this is a sample for a transmittal letter. As you can see, it is just like five sentences, or four, I think. One, two, yeah, three sentences actually. If you don't count the dear Mr. Francis, thank you for consideration, sincerely, and John Proudface. It's just three sentences. Remember, you're just introducing yourself. Okay, introduce yourself. Where did you find the advertisement? How did you come across the opportunity? And then that's it. Okay. You do not need to repeat what you have mentioned in your resume, because you have to make the person just read your resume. Another good thing in your transmittal letter is if you're applying for a job and are acquainted with someone there, a key employee, for example, like you could say, "Oh, I worked with this employee, with your manager several years ago in a particular project." That will help. That can also help, because immediately your employer or your hiring manager would immediately think that, oh, then I can talk to him and see if you would come highly recommended. Okay, you can say something like that, as long as the employee is a key employee. I mean, he's pretty much important. The employee is pretty much important to or highly regarded inside that company. So you could do that. Avoid any gimmicks. Again, do not use humor. You are applying for a job. Do not use strange formatting. Just keep it nice and simple. Do not put flowers. Do not put emoticons. Do not put emojis. No, do not do that. Do not make inappropriate references. Do not, just keep it as, yes, Sam, do not put emojis. You're trying to be as formal as possible. Do that after. Okay. So anyone wants to share? So would anyone want to share their work for the exercise? Or still writing? still writing. Okay. Dear Ms. Smith, enclosed is a proposal for the software as a service that we can offer to your company. We believe that we can deliver the product that you would like based on what we saw on your job posting. We are looking forward for your response. Yeah, that's actually good as a business proposal. If the most of it is already in, if most of it is already in the attachment, okay, in the document, then this is good. We can do that later, Sam. We can just look at it through, I don't know, link or something when you're ready to have it checked out. Okay, we can wait. I can continue to wait for people to. I can continue to wait for people to finish up. It's already what do you call this? What time is it? 3:50. Okay. Oh wait, Amera. All right. I'm writing to apply for the position of product design intern. Upon seeing this job posting on LinkedIn, I was encouraged to apply because I like the idea of your company's goal to accelerate access to quality healthcare for everyone. And so I am excited to, you could remove that part. And the part, and so I am excited to submit my resume. You can remove that. Okay, so hanggang ano ka lang, hanggang sa quality healthcare for everyone. And then, I believe that my experience and education are in line with the job description. I hope that I will, what? You might need to rewrite that sentence. I hope that I will the opportunity. Medyo may pagkaano siya. I am excited about the opportunity to join Company X. Wait. You could remove, I am excited about the opportunity. You can remove that sentence and just go straight to thank you and looking forward. Because you've already mentioned that kinda in the above. You don't have to say, again, remember that we're trying to make this as formal and as, you know, like what I mentioned much earlier, which is, okay, it has to be non-personal. Okay? So by saying that you're excited, it becomes personal. Yan eh. By saying that you're excited, it becomes personal. So you have to remove that. I know it's going to be a bit difficult because we are, as Filipinos, not just women, but most Filipinos can be emotional when it comes to writing, especially when writing formally. Okay? So saying that you're excited, the whole thing becomes very personal already. Okay? And it in a sense, it becomes kinda threatening, because since now that the hiring manager knows that you're excited, it's like, I'm going to hurt this girl's feelings because in case I decide not to hire this person. Okay? So remove the personal portions, remove the emotion. Okay? You could actually see that, you can actually show that later on when you are being interviewed, hopefully when you become interviewed. But you can just mention that, yes, you do not need to say that you are interested, because if you weren't interested, you wouldn't be even sending that letter. Right? So they already know you're interested. You sent them their resume, but give them a reason why they should read your resume. Remember the earlier sample. I believe that my experience and education are precisely in line with your requirements. Okay. So here in your case, it's I am writing to apply for the position of product design intern. Upon seeing this job posting on LinkedIn, I was encouraged to apply because I like the idea of your company's goal to accelerate access to quality healthcare for everyone. I believe that my experience and education are in line with the job description. I hope that I will have the opportunity to highlight the candidacy in a personal interview. Thank you, and looking forward to speaking with you in the future. Then that's it. That's all. Okay? You don't need to say that you're excited. So, the moment they try to interview you, they will know that you are excited. Okay? So, yeah. Anyone else? Last? Anyone else na pahabol? Okay, you can continue to send over your stuff. Okay, you can continue to send over your exercises. I'll still be in the mini events room, but right now I need to end the stream on YouTube. So just to end it all, thank you again for attending my presentation. You can get in touch with me through our Discord server. Everyone who's on the Discord server, you can just ping me whenever. Or if you're on YouTube, please send me a Twitter DM at headgeekette. Okay, so thank you very much. Have a good afternoon, everyone. Is there anything else you need to say, Michi?